Last 5 seconds. Ready? Start. Sir, I strongly oppose the statutory resolution moved by the Honorable Home Minister to approve the continuance in force of Article 356. This is an article which has an anti-federal and anti-democratic character. No other constitution in the world is having this painful clause except Pakistan. If you go through the constitution of the United States, Canada, Australia and Switzerland, you will find that no federal government is having the right to remove the state governments. Unfortunately, our founding fathers have incorporated this clause in our constitution. Sir, the Government of India Act 1935 also deals with taking the powers of the states as well as the taking the power of the government at the center. The British government during their period incorporated two sections in the act for taking the powers of both the governments, but our founding fathers conveniently for the comfort of the center have incorporated the clause to take the state government under the control of the president. The act of 1935 was opposed by the Congress party because of these two sections which assign the power to the governor and the governor general to take the control of state and federal governments respectively. The act of 1935 was opposed by saying that it was a black act. The principle of taking over the state government was opposed during the freedom struggle, but unfortunately it is now abundantly followed by our government. That is why I am to say that I am basically opposed to that article and I register my protest against the article itself. Sir, we know well that in the past this has been utilized not in the interest of the nation, not for protecting democracy, not for protecting the federal principle, but rather to protect the interests of the party at the center, either Congress or Janata. This article has been utilized only for the benefit of the party, not for national interest. Now the question arises whether this article has been properly utilized in the case of Kashmir or not. Sir, we know well that in the president's address the governor was lauded and complimented by the government, saying he has restored democracy, the situation has improved, the entire nation would be thankful to my friend, and so on. After some time, the Congress party is not in a position to tolerate the government of my friend, so it removed the said government from power by utilizing Article 356. But at the same time, it did not dissolve the assembly. But now, sir, on the eve of the elections of the Rajya Sabha, the assembly was dissolved for the interest of the party in power at the center. Therefore, it is totally exercised for the benefit of the party here. That is not only in this case but also in other areas. I am to remind the House that the government is not serious about the elimination of terrorism in Kashmir. Sir, they thought that the state government is not competent to deal with the situation effectively, but what do we see now? President's rule has totally failed to arrest the situation, rather it has escalated during the period of president's rule. Sir, for the last 1 year it has been reported in the press more than 2000 people have been killed by the terrorists. In January alone, 750 innocent people have been killed by the terrorists. What steps have been taken by the government? What steps have been taken by the concerned authorities in Kashmir? This has been allowed to continue at the same time. So as far as this house is concerned, it has given adequate powers, even more powers to the government to deal with the situation. The parliament has passed laws and armed the government with arbitrary powers. We have approved the steps to be taken under Article 349 of the Constitution. More than that, our Constitution has been amended as far as the Parliament is concerned. It has done its best, but as far as the government is concerned, there is no improvement. The situation is not at all improving. I would like to know what has happened to the decisions. So many decisions have been taken in this house. It was decided that a security belt should be created. Has the government created that security belt or not? The nexus between Pakistan and the terrorists should be broken. Now, what steps have been taken by the government so far to break this nexus between the terrorists and Pakistan? We always blame that Pakistan is aiding, giving training and giving shelter to terrorists. There is no difference of opinion on that, but what measures have been taken by the government to check all these activities of terrorists? You are acting like the common people. You are also saying that same thing what the common people say. Sir, taking up the other matters on which the president's address is being criticized, one criticism has been on the point that the prices have not been contained, that even though We have stated that the inflationary tendencies have been arrested, yet there is no ostensible evidence of the prices coming down in the market. It is again an unfortunate state of affairs. We know that prices are controlled in two ways: one as by the general laws of economics of demand and supply, and the other is by legislation, like we did through the Defense of India rules. Now, so far as the first aspect is concerned, the prices are controlled by seeing to it that supply is equal to demand, at least that they do not exceed the demand. They should at least be able to meet the demand, and that when that happens, prices themselves stabilize and adjust themselves. Therefore, it is absolutely necessary that there should be sufficient production in the country, both in the industrial as well as in the agricultural sector. But what has been the attitude of the opposition on this particular aspect? Whereas it is absolutely necessary that there should be 100% man days working in industry and agriculture, right? Through the year, we have seen that the total strategy of the opposition has been to promote Bharat Bandh, to promote strikes, to raise all kinds of industrial disputes, to cause unrest among the agricultural labor, and thus by all means to ensure that the production is crippled. It requires an ostrich to ignore a contradiction of this type. When you are crippling production, then the prices cannot come down. The other method of controlling prices is by the various legislations. It is a method still open to the government, and may be, if otherwise the prices cannot be contained, the other method may be used on some unforeseeable occasion. But speaking for myself, I would still be advocating and contain the prices by the normal economic laws. Socialism always means an increase in production, an increase in the wealth of the country by producing more in industry and agriculture, and it is result of this increased production which is distributed amongst the people. That is the concept of socialism. I would expect when we ask for cooperation from the opposition, we are asking for cooperation of this kind. The other point to which a reference has been made is about family planning. Family planning is another very vital aspect that has got to be considered by us. In the course of last 50 years or so, our population has doubled. We very well know that we are more than 100 crore in number at the end of this century. Unless we can control population, it is not possible to raise the living standards or the per capita income of the country. We have made phenomenal gains in the course of these years, but unfortunately all these gains have been eaten away by the growing population. Accent has been given, emphasis has to be laid on all programs that deal with the family planning. Unfortunately, family planning was made such a controversial subject. So much propaganda had been conducted, so much hatred had been created against it, that it is very difficult now to deal with it in any manner except one of purely voluntary basis. We have got to educate the people. Now we are educating the people. It necessarily takes time, but sooner or later we shall have to deal with this problem on a war footing. Unless that is done, it is a very difficult indeed to create an India of the dreams that we have been thinking of. Then sir, I must answer a point that was raised by the honorable member who finished just now. He warned us that we must not leave the fate of the entire nation in the hands of one person. Sir, ours is thoroughly a democratic party. Our party is replete with very high grade intellectuals. Some of the finest intellectuals of the country adorn our party, but whenever decision making is concerned, you will find always in all countries it is at the top level with one person. Please think of Britain. When Britain was in difficulties, the total decision-making process had been left in the hands of Churchill. He was advised by his cabinet, he was advised by his advisors, but the decision-making process was in the hands of one man only. Similarly, when France fell on evil days and it became necessary to revive the economy, it was de Gaulle who took on himself the task of revitalizing the entire economy of the country. In America too, you may remember that in the days of the darkest recession, it was Roosevelt on whom fell the task of revival. Therefore, it is nothing new, it is nothing extraordinary at the apex in our country the matter is being dealt with by an individual only. Stop.